usual, a circle with some petals around. First chakra has 4 petals, and when it comes to second chakra, there are 6 petals, 2 more additions. And the petals have some sounds in it for practice. Bum, hum, mum, yum, ram, lam. Bum. From the middle line, the left petal is the best petal. Bum, hum, mum, yum, ram, lam. Bum, hum, mum, yum, ram, lam. This is for stimulating that region. And then in the middle chord, in the middle you can see the circle, and usually it indicates the chakra. And then there is a crescent in the circle. This is the crescent. Crescent moon. This is a crescent. And it shows the ups and downs of the person in Swadhisthana Chakra. The name of the chakra is Swadishtana Chakra. Swadhisthana Chakra means the dwelling place of the self. This is the basic point where we are all inhabited. And that is why the name Swadhisthana Chakra, the dwelling place of the self. The moon, the crescent is indicating the influence of water, on influence of moon on water. During deep and high tides, the water goes according to the influence of the moon. When there is full moon, there is actually big waves, and then it slowly goes down. And so it indicates that the person who is rooted in the Swadhisthana Chakra is highly emotional, having ups and downs. There is no emotional stability. According to the growth of the moon, one day the person will be very splendid, and maybe another day may be very low and depressed. And then it reducing into that state and then coming back to the full moon. And this is the nature of the person who is moving in the aspects of Muladhara, the Swadhisthana Chakra. And that is shown by the crescent moon. Then the crescent moon, that circle is the yantra part, or like the device, everything is there in that part. And that is been carried by a crocodile, alligator. The crocodile is considered as a very cunning animal of the fact that it is, when it is hungry, it looks for prey, and when the prey is inside, close the mouth and it starts to tear. Because of the pressing from the mouth to the tear glands, it starts to produce tears. And so it indicates that in literature we say crocodile tears. That is falsity. There is a lot of falsity, pretext, and that is actually shown to the world through varied emotions, trying quite a lot for seeking some help or seeking the company of somebody, and showing emotions and really manipulating the world. That is the nature of the second chakra influenced person. That is indicated by the crocodile tears. And then we have the left side, as usual in all the chakras, the feminine deity, and this deity is called Ragini. Ragini is the goddess of passion. And she has 2 heads. The 2 heads indicates the split nature of the person. One day it is may be splendid, or maybe another day may be very low. And also a lot of trickeries. It is not willfully hurting somebody, but inherently there comes some kind of a tricky nature for getting the prey, like the crocodile. That is one idea. The other idea is you understood the first chakra when you crossed the first chakra. And from the first chakra to the second chakra, when a person is ascending, he has understood what is insecurity, what are the negative tendencies which are associated with food security and shelter for a person. And that is understood by the person by his observation, by his practice, and by his life experiences. And he has mastered it. And that faculties of confidence, which comes to the person in the first chakra, Muladhara, is added to the second chakra head. Thereby there are two heads. So the faculties are added when the person is moving from the base chakra to Swadhisthana Chakra. Then on the left upper hand, she is keeping an axe. Axe is a very ancient weapon for cutting the wood or cutting open the jungle and finding the path. The person in Swadhisthana Chakra behaves like that. This chakra is very active during teenage, and where passion is growing like anything due to the changes of hormonal system in the body, the person will be looking for freedom, company, companionship, togetherness, sex, passion, and celebration. And so there is a social pressure to make the person understand that certain things you need to follow. Otherwise, you will be an outcast. People will not consider you as a good guy. The idea of good and bad of the society cannot be taken by the person in the second chakra, because he is driven by strong passion and emotions. And so, when such a person is moved or triggered by passion, then he is he is using his axe and cutting open all the obstacles and paving the way to reach the goal. Whoever says that it's not good or it should not be done in this way, they will not listen at all, because the drive is so strong, because it is a very inherent drive for getting into the company of opposite sex. Person from the opposite sex in olden times, now that is not a question at all, because the world is changing and people can be like men can be with men, women can be with men, or no gender people having no specific gender, they can be with anybody, and that problem is not anymore there, especially in the Western world. It is very much accepted. So so anyway, when this drive for getting the company, so you can say that this chakra is a social chakra which is always looking for company, companionship, passion, exchange of passion and celebration of sex. And when that drive comes, then the person is little blind, he can cut open his way, he can reach there, he don't obey anybody. And certain societies, as the pressure was so strong that they cannot expressly show what they are really interested in, but hidden ways they seek, depending upon how the society works. And so this tendency of cutting open the forest and finding the way is indicated by the axe. And then when a person is triggered by the emotion of sex and passion, certainly his rhythm changes. And also the normal rhythm of sleep cycles, everything changes. Many people are very interested in getting the company because it is not willfully thinking, because of the changes that happens in the body and the hormones that are poured in their bloodstream drives them little strongly towards the goal of rectification of their passion. And so when that system is on, their heart starts to beat. The drum which the Ragini is keeping on the left bottom hand indicates the rhythm, the physical and physiological rhythm will show whether you are doing something which goes with your feeling or whether there is a conflict embedded in what you are doing. Because the conflict comes from the dictates of the society and your ethical principle, and you want to do something and your ethical principles which you are holding or the society has given to you will be coming and obstructing your passionate drive, and then the conflict comes, and the conflict will be shown by the drawing of the drum. So a person in the second chakra, when it starts to drum, the drum starts to create the sound, then you can be very clear that there is a conflict. And then it's a long and big work a person has to do to get out of the conflict. A person can get out of the conflict only by proper understanding, comprehension of what is going on inside. That is possible only by deep observation and your location in the society. And society, when you are exploring, you understand that society is just like an enigma. It's not something which is real. It is just a group of people, and group is not always there. The group comes and goes. When there is a group, the society is there. When there is no group, there is no society. But it will be felt by the individuals that the society is always watching it. They are not interested about your thing. But in a common platform, they are interested, they dictate and they drive you to go into specific directions, and they raise their ethical principles and codes for driving the society in a way which is good as understood by the past people or the people who are elders or seniors in the society. This is actually the social conditioning. And the main social conditioning is happening in teenage, which is usually rejected by the youngsters because the push is so strong. But in olden times it was not possible because the society is stronger, or the family is the minimum society which is stronger than individuals. So you have to succumb to the pressures of the society and the dictates of the elders, and then a lot of suppression takes place there. And all these suppressed feelings will go deeper in their psyche, and then it can alter the physiological functions and derangement of behavior, and it will push the person into a low mood. And if that low mood is allowed to continue for a longer time, depression will certainly come, and consequently the isolation tendency will come, and then finally if it is allowed to grow, that you start to love darkness, depression, darkness, and finally it can lead a person to tendency to commit suicide. So this chakra is actually very, very strong in that respect. In that time of youth, or not youth, the teenage, if proper guidance and proper exposure to the ideas, deeper ideas, how to live in a society, what are the cause of these pressures which are coming from within, and what is right, what is wrong, is there something like that or not? All these things needs to be properly understood, studied, and one has to go. But in modern societies, this possibility is there. But in traditional societies, this possibility is still not there. So there is a lot of pressure, and that will probably lead the people into deranged behavior patterns fixed in their life, and a lot of troubles can come. So this is a specific chakra. If you want to be sane, individual needs to actually explore, otherwise it can go out of hand, because the axe is actually ready to cut open the obstacles and go. The society doesn't permit, and there is a big conflict. Big conflict can come. So this is the situation in the second chakra. And then when the conflict comes, you can see there is a change of physiological activities. Even the heart starts to beat like anything. Then there will be no stress comes up. There will come stress, and then no hunger, nothing. All the physiological activities switch over from constructive mechanism to destructive system. And that is why this is so important. During that time, youngsters, they wanted to isolate themselves from the society. They wanted to lay down and slowly close the doors and windows want to be in darkness because they started to dislike the society. So it is actually in the first chakra, this problem is not there at all. If you don't get food, you go fight, get your food. But when you come to the second chakra, this kind of fight you try and then you go into depression. Because it is a huge society which is actually looking at you. Or you feel that the society is always watchful. Maybe not, but that's the feeling. Because of the ethical principles which are really strongly laid down by the people, elderly people, and then you don't have that kind of strength to be part of their to go beyond their ideas. So finally, it's a very hard chakra, emotionally very hard chakra. And feeling isolation is a common feature, at least for a little period. It can come to anybody. That is the period that triggers the exploration for an individual. If you don't get into that kind of periods, actually you don't need to know anything about it. So naturally you'll be isolated, you will not be accepted by the society. And your doings, not you, your doings won't be accepted by the society, and a lot of troubles will come to the individual who is actually running forward for normal pressures that is there shown in their physical system. So it's a very conflicting center with regard to emotions and the obstructions the society is imposing on the individuals. Then that drone that is happening, the change of rhythm that happens in your system by the change of your breath, the change of your heartbeat, and all the uneasiness that you get needs to be watched and try to find the source of the problem. Usually not. We project everything because the pressure is coming from outside. We project everything to the society, and society will be understood by the person as the cause of the trouble. Of course, society is doing a lot of things, contributing everything for the troubles, but if the trouble happens in the individual, so individual has the basic responsibility. Somebody has to teach them that you have to look and understand. Society will be like that, but how can you get out of this problem? Now the problem is yours, and maybe it is not really the problem of the society. And so that needs to be observed. And then see, there is an arrow which is there in the hands of Dragini, and this arrow is the arrow of the god of sex. So god of sex, in that story I have told yesterday, Kamadevan. God of sex is Kamadevan, and it is believed that Kamadevan have no body. It's a very nice idea. Where the Kamam is coming suddenly. From where it comes, you don't know. You see something beautiful and the desire comes all of a sudden, and then you are pushed to get that. And it can happen at any time. But when you are looking into the Surya Yoga system, you can very clearly say it will not come all of a sudden from somewhere. It can come only at a particular time. And that particular time is the time when in your composition water element is dominant. That's the conducive time for passion to grow. So if you are very alert, then you can see that this is the time. So you can be little alert if you don't want to enter there. But if you like to enter, you can enter. But the only thing is you have to undergo the consequences. But we have to enter that without consequences, which is an impossibility. Because society is always there. And basically humans are a social being, because without society we cannot survive. Even by the childbirth you can see how long months, how many long months we need to have just to stand on our legs. Still we are very dependent because we cannot have anything. So this great dependency is, big dependency is there for human beings. And so as we have this long dependence with your mother or father or somebody, then you are compelled to follow their dictates because we cannot ban it. So that is why the long shaisha, long period of infancy and childhood, and then the teenage when it comes, you are looking for freedom. Because you have been struggling with the bondage for a long time, that when the light comes for freedom, you really look for it, because long years of struggle. And then certainly you go there. It is like a light that is coming. You have no control, and you go there. So this passion is triggered by the bana of Kamadeva, Kamabana. And then when that is happening, that is the trigger of passion that comes from within that need to be observed. Usually we don't observe because we will be driven by the passion. And then actually it is thoughtless being. The second chakra person is a thoughtless being. He don't think, he jumps into things. And he behaves like a foolish, or she behaves like a foolish person because the thinking won't work there at all. More than thinking, the passion, the push of passion drives the person. That is why this person is like a romantic fool. And that is indicated by the skull which is held by the Mother Ragini on her right bottom hand. He plays around with his own head, which is actually like the end is like a skull. And so it indicates, as the skull is shown there, it indicates that when it happens in you, certainly you need to observe. As soon as you start to observe, you become detached. If you are not observing, you get attached. This is the key. If you start to observe, you are not into it, you are the observer. So that observation is also there in the head because the skull represents detachment. Detachment can be worked out only when you become an observer. Otherwise, you are attached. And these are the aspects which is held by the feminine deity Ragini. And then when you come to the masculine deity, so every time when you see the feminine deities in chakras, it says quite a lot of things about the consequences, the situation,